saying that you believe the trust gave up interest in the property. You recall that?
I'm going to object. The record speaks for itself. The question is misleading, mischaracterizes the testimony, and lacks foundation.
You can go ahead and answer.
Oh, what was the question?
And I'll stipulate the objection stands. Do you have a recollection of earlier in the deposition, at the start of the deposition, testifying to the effect that you believe the trust gave up an interest in the property?
I'm going to object again. That it lacks foundation, misstates the prior testimony. The record speaks for itself, and it's misleading.
Please answer.
I'm not following it.
I'll have the court reporter read the question back.
We don't know. And we can't get touch with them. I just spoke to Nancy, and Nancy said, what Nancy said was,
do you have a recollection earlier in your testimony of saying that you believe, hold on one second. Okay. Do you have a recollection of earlier in your deposition, at the start of the deposition, testifying to the effect that you believed the trust gave up an interest in the property?
Again, I object that the record speaks for itself. The question is misleading, mischaracterizes the evidence, lacks foundation.
Please answer.
When you say earlier testifying today or some other time?
Today.
I don't recall it.
Do you have any information as to the location of the property in Guerneville that your daughter reported to you she bought?
She told me about a house with a running brook behind the back. And I did see it when I went out to visit her once.
And that was the house that she told you she owned herself? It was her own house?
Yes.
And that's the only piece of property that you were aware of that she ever told you she had purchased?
That she told me, yeah, right. She did not tell me she owned any other property except that she was looking to buy the land next door to the property, Gurneyville.
Did she ever report back to you of whether or not she purchased that bare land?
There was some conversation about it with her and Allan Marshall. And I know there was negotiations, and then it ended. They didn't tell me anything.
Were those conversations you were a party to, or conversations that someone told you about?
I wasn't a party to. No, I had nothing to do with. The only thing we had to do with the land. She wanted to know what value I placed on it. And in those days, as you can see, the prices were very low. But as far as I know, I don't think she bought it. But maybe she did.
If you will find in the documents there Exhibit 4.
He doesn't have this.
4?
He doesn't have it.
Could we check with the technician, see if they've got any exhibits with numbers on the lower right-hand corner?
Well, 4.
Well, without success.
Letters. I don't see any ones with numbers.
Okay. When you mentioned you suffer from Parkinson's, is that a recent diagnosis, something that you've been dealing with for quite some time? How would you find that?
About 2 years.
And when you say you have a poor memory, is it that you have, in your opinion, a memory that fails you, meaning you can't recall things, or a memory that fools you, meaning you recall things inaccurately?
I think the first part is probably more probable.
Sometimes do you believe you misrecall things?
I have trouble recalling a lot of things. I could be in the den in my house and want to go to the kitchen and get something, and I forget what I went there to get. But I'm not talking about once in a blue moon. This happens to me frequently. It's very difficult for me to retain what I have to do without screwing it up, not knowing whether I did it, didn't do it. It ain't nice. It's a difficult
Does
thing.
it also
Yeah.
affect your ability to remember things in the past?
Ironically enough, that's the difference. The very past I seem to be able to pick up on, but closer things I have a lot of difficulty. Anything that's been happening within, could be minutes, hours.
So your feeling is it affects more your short-term memory versus your long-term memory?
I would say probably.
I have no further questions right now.
Questions right now?
He's pondering.
What?
Wait, let you know.
He,
Mr. Smith is...
Mr. Haymes, this is Ted Smith again. What's your understanding of Brian Marshall's disability?
Objection lacks foundation, calls for a medical opinion, an expert opinion.
Mr. Haymes, what's your understanding of Brian Marshall's disability?
Objection, vague and ambiguous, lacks foundation, calls for an expert and or medical opinion.
you want me to answer it?
Yes.
Brian's come a long way. He had a lot of difficulty up until the last 5 years. In the last 5 years, he's seemed to have been doing very well for the problem he has. And he needs a lot of help with knowing that he's a man instead of injured. And I try to give him, especially the last 5 years, I give him a lot of credit for what he's been able to accomplish.
Thank you, Mr. Haymes. Nothing further. We're done.
All done?
Hold on, unless the reporter needs something further?
No, I just would like to know, Tom,
Yes.
is it possible for you to send me an audio cassette of this?
Yeah, I got it right here. Where you want me to send
To
it?
my office. To my office would be fine. Just put attention, Emily.
And who wants copies of the video?
I do. Ted Smith.
Ted Smith?
Yes, I think it was all arranged through Cal Moore.
All
I'll
right,
contact Cal North and let them know.
no problem.
You can send the video to Cal North as well, and we'll give it to the attorney.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
What are we doing with the papers that were sent to
What do
me?
you want them to do with the papers?
You don't have to keep them. Do with them whatever you like.
The ones that you sent me, right?
You want them?
Those ones that are sitting in front of you, you can do whatever you want with them.
No, those were here.
Yeah, you can keep them if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I know.